Friday's box office numbers are out, and it's more bad news for Men in Black International and Dark Phoenix. Men in Black International's dropped down to number 4 in the US box office now, and Dark Phoenix is all the way down to number 10. Things could have been a little bit worse for Men in Black International. It could have been 5th, but it actually outperformed The Secret Life of Pets 2. The Secret Life of Pets 2 looks like it had a lot of direct competition from Toy Story 4, which has hurt its box office. And Toy Story 4, number 1, absolutely huge Friday, $47 million estimated at this stage. That includes $12 million from Thursday. So about $35 or maybe $36 million on the actual Friday itself for Toy Story 4. Child's Play, new film as well, coming in at number 2, and Aladdin in there at number 3. Dark Phoenix has had a horrible run in the box office. Men in Black's run's been terrible as well, and the question really has been which one's going to go worse. Well, here we can look at a chart with them back to back with each other, and Dark Phoenix has just been overtaken by Men in Black International at this same point in time. So Men in Black International did have a slightly worse opening weekend, and both of the weekday results from Dark Phoenix and Men in Black International have been terrible, but Men in Black International not quite as bad as Dark Phoenix, and here on the Friday they're basically neck and neck, and I'd expect that Men in Black International will out-earn what Dark Phoenix earned on its second weekend and actually move ahead, which isn't exactly fantastic news in that Dark Phoenix is going very, very poorly, so Men in Black is just equalizing the poor run of Dark Phoenix, but I suppose it could be worse. Men in Black International could be going underneath where Dark Phoenix was at that point in time. And if we look at this chart here again, that has 2 extra films to compare things to, Alien Covenant had about the same opening weekend as Dark Phoenix, and it was about the worst performing film with the same opening weekend. You can see here the yellow line for Dark Phoenix way underneath Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant got a total of $74 million in the US domestic market. Dark Phoenix going to get nowhere near that probably. So $74 million, probably a lot more than what Dark Phoenix will actually earn in the US market. And the other film here, Pacific Rim Uprising, the red line, that was about the worst performing film with the same opening weekend that Men in Black International got. And we can see the green line there, obviously, just as we saw previously on track with Dark Phoenix. It's doing a fair bit better than what Pacific Rim Uprising did. So Men in Black International is not going to be the worst performing film of its opening weekend, but it does look like Dark Phoenix is going to be just about the worst performing film with its opening weekend. Dark Phoenix got around about $3 million more than Men in Black in their actual respective opening weekends. But if we look at the worldwide totals for Dark Phoenix and Men in Black International, Dark Phoenix is actually doing a lot better. Now, it's obviously got more money at this point in time because it's been out in the movies for longer, but if we go back to the same point in time, Dark Phoenix was still outperforming where Men in Black International is here with its total global amount of money. The current total for Dark Phoenix, $210 million. It's made up of $57 million domestically and $152 million internationally. So there's nearly 3 times as much money coming in from the international box office as what it actually has in the domestic box office. So although the domestic number is very, very bad for Dark Phoenix, the international number is a lot better relative to that. It's still less than what I imagine they were hoping it would get internationally, but a far better result compared to the actual domestic figure. Again, nearly 3 times as much. Whereas if you look at Men in Black International, it's got $45 million domestically, but internationally it's only got 83. So it's less than 2 times the amount of money internationally than what it actually has domestically. So in the international box office, Men in Black International, no pun intended for its name International, Men in Black International is actually struggling compared to Dark Phoenix. But if you look at the actual profitability of these movies, or lack thereof, Men in Black International has a reported budget of $110 million, and I have seen some reports saying it's as low as $90 million, whereas Dark Phoenix has got a production budget, the highest figure I've seen reported, of $350 million. Now, I believe it's more like $200 million, there's some reports of that figure, but nonetheless, it's perhaps 2 or 3 times more expensive than Men in Black International was. It's not going to earn 2 or 3 times the amount of money. So it may earn a little bit more in the worldwide box office than Men in Black International, but not to that sort of extent. And as I've said in a previous video, Dark Phoenix may need $580 million in the global box office to break even. So right now it's got $210 million, it needs $580. I don't think it has a chance of doubling the money from where it is here, so I don't think it's going to get something like $400 million in total, so it's going to lose quite a lot of money. Whereas Men in Black International, there are some insider reports, if you believe them, stating that it needs only $300 million to break even. So $300 million for Men in Black International. It has $129 million now. I would think if it's lucky, it'll be able to double its money from this point on. So that'd be like $260 million. So that's under the $300 million that it might need to break even. It really depends on what reshoots actually cost and what its actual marketing costs were, which you never really find out. But if it does need $300 million to break even, I don't think it's going to break even either. So it's going to lose less money than Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is going to lose a massive amount of money, but Men in Black International probably going to lose money as well. Now onto the Chinese box office. Men in Black International was actually number 3 there, so perhaps not as bad as it was in the US market, but it's only got $39 million in total in the Chinese market, so I'm sure that's a lot less money than they would hope it would be at this point in time. It's only got $2.4 million for Saturday, and so its box office run in China essentially over. Godzilla King of the Monsters still going a little bit there. It's got $130 million in total in China, quite a good result for that. And down in number 10 is X-Men Dark Phoenix, $0.37 million, or $370 million. That's all it earned for Saturday. Its box office run in China is basically over, and it's got a total of $58 million. And the new film Toy Story 4, only number 2 in the Chinese market, so I'm not sure what Spirited Away is at the number 1 position, presumably some sort of Chinese production, but Toy Story 4, not the number 1 film in China. It only got $5.8 million on Saturday, which brings its total for Friday and Saturday to only $8.5 million. So Toy Story 4 been going very, very, very well in the US domestic market, but it's been going, well, pretty bad in the Chinese market, probably because no one there has any idea what Toy Story 4 is. It's probably facing something similar to Star Wars, in that Star Wars originally wasn't shown in China, and so all of the subsequent sequels and prequels, or whatever you want to call them, they're all based on something that no one really knows what it is in China in relative terms, and so the film isn't as big as in much of the rest of the world. Toy Story is a fairly old franchise. It was like 25 years old or something like that. Probably wasn't shown originally in China, I'm just assuming because of the low numbers here. So this is the 4th film in a series that people probably aren't exposed to too much there, at least kids or adults aren't exposed to as much there. So whatever the reason is, that's what I assume it'll be. But Toy Story 4 practically failing in China compared to the excellent amount of money that's earning in the US domestic market right now. And lastly here are the projections from Deadline. They've got Toy Story 4 in at number 1, and they think it'll get $123.7 million over the weekend. So nowhere near the $200 million that were sort of predicted a little bit by some places, but $123 million is still a decent amount of money, but not the kind of record-breaking amount of money that would have made it the number 1 animated film ever. We've got Aladdin drops down number 3. Men in Black International, they're saying it'll only get $10.9 million, which will be a 64% reduction, which is a fairly bad reduction coming off the very bad amount of money it made the week before. So it's not a case of making good money and then reducing by a large amount. It made a small amount of money and it's reducing that by a relative large percentage, 64%. Got Secret Life of Pets 2, they think that'll be number 5. I wouldn't be surprised if Secret Life of Pets 2 actually earns more money than Men in Black International. I know that Men in Black International earned more than it on Friday, but I think Secret Life of Pets 2 might out-earn it on Saturday. And then down in number 9 here, they got Dark Phoenix. I think Dark Phoenix will only get $3.6 million. So all in all, the box office run for both Men in Black International and Dark Phoenix basically over already. So they've already had a very bad run up to date. They're basically looking like they're just about done. We've got this Avengers Endgame re-release coming out next weekend, whatever that's worth. I'm still not really sure how you can price in what that will do to the actual box office, how much money it'll make, but that's the new thing coming out this weekend coming up. And then we've got the new Spider-Man movie the week after that. So both of these events I don't think would help either Dark Phoenix or Men in Black International. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.